Well, hello, hello, hello. Here we are waiting for my peeps to get on board. We are going live. Hello, everyone. So great to see everybody. Of course, my Instagram is just having a moment in time. That's fine. We love and respect Instagram exactly as it is. Hi, Amy. Hey, gang. Okay. So let's get to business. Hey, missed you all so much last week. Hope you enjoyed my taped segment. Funny, I had surgery. I'm totally fine. I'm doing great, actually. Hi, Anne. I am. But my friend called me and she said, "Oh my God, I just watched Facebook Live. You look amazing post-surgery." I was like, "Oh no, that was taped." Anyway, so good to see everybody. We have so much to go over. I just want to say, spoiler alert for next week's love letter. And if you are not in our love letter, it's a Sunday newsletter I write every single week because I love you. We had so much material for this one. We had so many things to say. Hi, Ronnie, that we had to cut this newsletter in half because we had so much to talk about. So anyway, so we're in listen, I feel like I'm not being transparent, and transparency is just my major core value here. And I just want to say, COVID's very real, and, we want to be taking care of ourselves and of others. And so, hey, Julie, so I feel we're giving you some skills for the holidays, but also we're giving you these are good COVID skills. These skills are buy one, get all, use them anywhere. We'll use them next year, hopefully, when we have, thank you. You're a holiday miracle too. That's such a wonderful thing to say. So we are just going to be sitting here. So last week on your taped version of Close the Kitchen, bless you all, I just really got into the nitty gritty of it all because listen, I don't think that I'm the first girl here in America when we're talking about our relationship with food. That's oh yeah, journal in your journal, take a bubble bath. You have to do things that aren't using food. And listen, the unrecovered person in me, thanks guys, the unrecovered person in me is ew, I'm not bubble bathing. Do you understand how hard my life is? I want the cookies, I want the ice cream, and I want it now. So we have to first make the case as to why we're going to be creating skills. And the other thing we have to do, which I talked about last week, but anytime I talk about skills, I feel I need to give a minor presentation on the why, because at least for me, I can get really close-minded about it, especially when I want to eat, when I want to eat, I don't really want to go and I love this one, put ice on my neck. Ice is my favorite skill in the world. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody put ice on their neck and did some deep breathing, got through the craving. I mean, that's the way we do it, friends. So the thing I want to say before I get into these skills is, first of all, when we're thinking about freedom, I'm always thinking about freedom. And when we're thinking about long-term sustainability, using food as your coping skill isn't going to work, or else you probably wouldn't be hanging out with me. It's not personal. I love hanging out with you, but it's unlikely you'd be hanging out with me because that would be working for you. And the problem is that while food is on the table as a skill, while we're using food to numb, to nurture, to whatever, these other skills that I'm going to talk about today are it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Do you know what I mean? It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. So we need to get the guns out of the area so that we just have knives to fight battle, to thrive. We're talking about thriving, not surviving. And so the other thing about skills is that we sometimes get such an unrealistic expectation as to what they're supposed to do for us. We're oh, listen, I journaled and I don't feel all better. I journaled and I don't feel enlightened. Well, that's normal. Skills are just made to help us to get through hard times. And so if you're feeling really sad and you do some stuff to distract yourself, you're feeling really sad and you want to go at the food. You know what I mean? And then you go do some stuff to distract yourself. You use some skills, you make some calls, do some Did you do some crafting? I love to craft. This is currently making a mala for my friend Kirsten. Hope she's not watching. Spoiler alert. After that, after you finish all of that, if you haven't gone and binged, it's a success. So it's like very realistic expectations of what it's supposed to do. Skills are made to not make hard situations harder or to make them like consequential, right? Like you can be getting in a fight with your partner and then want to go binge, and that would have consequences to it, emotional, physical, spiritual. But you could go use skills after it, making phone calls, giving yourself a hand massage, whatever. And you can feel like, you know, really esteemable at the end of it. That's been my experience. And I write about in Breaking Up with Sugar. I write about sort of my first experience when I used skills. I remember it so well. Oh my goodness. Because I had a therapist that explained to me one day that, you know, not everybody goes home and binges their brains out and passes out. And I was like, well, that is some information, Deborah. Thank you for sharing that with me. Wow. And then I thought to myself, because I was studying with Marsha Linehan, the creator of dialectical behavioral therapy at the time, and this is a big part of DBT. And I thought, well, as I'll say to you 1,000 times over, don't knock it till you tried it. And I went home, and it was during the time of Grey's Anatomy when it was first, ER. That's how long ago it was. And I sat on my hands and I watched ER and I didn't eat. And it was a miracle. And I kind of got it. The thing about the skills also that I really want to say again is that you have to be practicing them like when you're not wanting to binge your brains out, because the only way you're going to know if they work for you, if there's something you want to add to your toolkit, you want to date, you want to marry, is if you practice them and you know that you like them. So there it is. And so these skills that we're going to talk about this week and next week are skills to help you to pass the time. Right. And that's sometimes, you know, cravings don't usually last longer than like 20 or 30 minutes. Remember, they're not commands, and they are a lot of times sirens. We can talk about that. Close the kitchen for another day. But this idea of taking some time to distract yourself, just to let it pass the time so that we don't make these decisions that have implications on our soul and our emotions, that we just kind of like, you know, like, treated a lady named Alice so many years ago. I don't know if I ever told you this story. I treated a lady named Alice, and Alice, you know, comes to group and she's telling us this story. It's like her first week trying to break up with sugar. And she tells us a story where she's like, you guys, I got home from group last week and my basement was just flooded, like beyond measure. And I was up all night and I had to call these people and there's an emergency. And so we all were sitting there waiting for her to tell us that she had like obviously binged her brains out. I mean, you know, I think that would have been okay. Well, so said Alice, and then what happened? She said, well, I went upstairs and I got an ice pack and I put it on my neck. And I said, Alice, that's amazing. How did you do that? And she said, well, you know, I apologize. This is probably like an off-label story, but I'll tell it anyway. This is just what happened. And Alice said, well, I said to myself, do you want to have a flooded basement and wait, and like, well, she said, and a fat ass. I'm sorry, that's just the story. Do you want to have a flooded basement and a fat ass, or just want to have a flooded basement? And she said, and I decided just a flooded basement would be enough. And I think that's the point of distraction skills. Like, do you want to be in a big fight with your partner and have demoralization, or have like just like the noise starting, blah, 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 or just like have that feeling of like not treating yourself with like love and care? Or do you just want to be in a fight with your partner? You know, like that's the deal. Like that's the deal with it. So we're talking 2 kinds of skills here. We're going to talk a whole nother skill next week, which I think is actually like a very holiday appropriate we're going to talk about next week. But this week we're talking, I know, Alice is your kind of girl, Amy. So this week I just want to talk about distraction skills. I love distraction skills. The other thing about, you know, kind of having given your life to an eating disorder or an unhealthy relationship with food or an abusive relationship with food is like, I think you, at least for me, like you sometimes like forget who you are as a person. Like when you really get deep into the binging, at least this is the case for me. It's like, I didn't even know what I liked or didn't like anymore. So truly, when I started to learn skills and I started to put skills into my toolbox, an added benefit of that was like, learning what I liked and what I didn't like. You guys, I'll get to that in Self-Soothe. Hold on. Put a note in my brain. But I mean, truly, I'm like such a little crafter. I love me some crafting. I love me some like card writing. I mean, I love making playlists. If you don't know that about me, and I just love all of it. I love me a phone call. I love me a text. I love me a Bitmoji. These are all things that I use in order to distract myself. And again, the point is not to have me necessarily feel better. A lot of times when I do those skills, certainly the ones that are connecting with others, it really does help me to feel better. But this is the thing, my loves. Skills don't work unless you try them. So we have a lot of judgments about skills. And I think the food really holds you hostage around these beliefs too, because the food's like, oh, no. Like, how in the world is making a mala necklace going to make you feel better? Right? Okay. The other skill I want to talk about is self-soothing, because really when we're turning to the food, so often we are turning to it for soothing. Am I right? Am I right? So we want to, the reason that the ice works on the neck so well is that it starts the dive response. It actually turns on and activates your parasympathetic nervous system. So it doesn't actually even matter if you're really activated, like on fire activated, you get ice on your neck, it will chill you out, like literally and figuratively. So that's the answer to that question. Thank you so much for asking me that. They asked why on the ice on the neck works. Ice on the neck is 100% accurate if you're really activated. So we have to learn how to soothe ourselves in ways that, in ways that aren't harmful. Because I think absolutely, if you're downing cookies, you will get some kind of relief quickly. It feels soothing, but long-term, if you're hanging out with me, it's not working for you. I didn't know this about myself. I love me a bath. I love me an Epsom salts bath plus some essential oils. It's amazing. I live and I die for it. You don't know these things until you try them. Do you know what I mean? You don't know these things. I love a good dance party. I love taking deep breaths. Sometimes I cry when I take them, but the healing is in the feeling. So go Google this. This is what your homework. You need to start to practice these skills so that you can know what you like, so that you can attempt every now and then, just like I did with the show ER, which I did love in its day with Clooney on it. And you know what you like. So you can start to practice this over and over and over again, because the thing about skills is maybe they won't feel immediately as good as the food, but they'll never, ever, ever, you'll never feel demoralized. You'll never feel shameful after you've made a Spotify playlist. Am I right? Am I right? So I want you to get practicing on this. Leave me a comment, leave me an idea, leave me a thought, leave me a something. I want to know where you are with skills. But now, my loves, it is time to, as we always do, close the kitchen. So start closing the kitchen, because there's this weird delay on all of this. You start telling me that you're closing the kitchen. I'm going to remind you how we do it. We put our hands in our heart. Oh, I love that. I love a good vision board. A vision board is a great activity. We put our hands on our heart. We put our hands on our heart for our recovery, put our hands in our heart for our community. And most importantly, right now, my love, so many people struggling in this world. We put our hands in our hearts and send love out to everybody in the world. It's a powerful move, hands on the heart. Lots of research. Julie, you're the first one to close the kitchen. Amazing. Amy's closed the kitchen. Martha's closed the kitchen. Carrie's closed the kitchen. Incredible. Adriana's closed the kitchen. Who else is closing the kitchen tonight? I'm in love with this. Amazing. Lisa's closed the kitchen. Fabulous. Anne is closing the kitchen. She's on the West Coast. I know this to be true, so she'll close it later. I know that. Amazing. Amazing. Hip Film Strips closing the kitchen. Incredible. Camille's closing the kitchen. Hands on the heart. You got it. You got it. Diane is closing the kitchen. Amazing. My kitchen was closed at 6:45 tonight. And Molly has closed the kitchen. And let me tell you something, my loves, go practice your skills. I want to hear all about it. And, I am fiercely devoted to your freedom here, loving you, loving you, loving you. And if someone hasn't told you that they love you today, I do. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.